everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am John, and this is Dennis, and this is going to be the first edition of Is It Great or Were You 8, which is something we've talked about on our live shows that we do every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, which is, movies we grew up with in our childhood. Were they actually great films, or did you only enjoy them because you were a child? And it's something we wanted to talk about, right, Dennis?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I love it. I mean, you brought it up once, and I think you actually brought it up in a separate conversation where you were saying, oh yeah, I saw this other podcast and they said this line, was it great or were you eight? And I feel like I clung to that thing and just like annoyed you with it to the point where you're like, you know what, we should make a series about it. And I think it's great because it's always nice to go back. I mean, sometimes I will be honest, it can be a bummer to go back because unfortunately there are some films that you were just 8 and they are actually terrible.
Yeah, there's quite a few, and that's what this show is going to explore is movies that we did watch when we were kids, and even movies you watched. We'll like put polls out as the show goes on, like we do at our original versus remake. This is essentially an every other week thing: original versus remake, and then was it great or were you 8 kind of thing. So yeah, I saw this on a podcast. They saw it from somebody else who said this term, so I just thought it was great. It's just it makes a lot of sense because as you get older, the film doesn't change, you change. And I kind of had experience like this actually this past week with Casper coming out. Hadn't seen that movie in like 25 years. It was the first movie I saw in theaters, and I loved it when I was a kid. And when you watch it as an adult, you're like, it's good, but it's not as good as I remembered.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that might happen a lot here with this series. Again, when you're a kid, it's different. Now, just to be clear, a little bit of back information here. The movies don't have to actually have been released when we were 8. That's just a broad spectrum term for when you watched it as a kid, whether you were 5, whether you were 10. It's just the general kids movies that you watched when you were younger. Just so you guys know out there, we weren't 8 years old when some of these movies came out. Just again, I know that sounds stupid. Just want to clarify in case there's anyone out there who wants to comment and be like, "Hey, all these movies came out in different years" or anything like that. Yes, we were not 8 for all of these, but we were children when we first saw them, and that's what made them amazing to us. So we're kind of revisiting, like you said, Casper, all those things when you're a kid and kind of just getting into movies and you watch it and you're like, oh my God, this was the best. 20 years later, is it still the best or were you just a child?
Exactly. That's a very good point. And the first one we're starting with is ironically, it's a film that came out between the years that we were born. I was born in 92, you were born in 94, and this movie came out in 1993.
The Sandlot, a little piece of paradise, a half a block wide and a whole season long.
Not a year when we were both 8. I was 1. Dennis was not even born. So, and it's directed by David Mickey Evans, who actually is also the narrator, which I did not notice until I was looking at this up. I never knew that. He's the narrator of Smalls. He doesn't play the adult Smalls, though. That's another actor. But yeah, he's the director and he's the narrator, which is pretty cool. A funny fact about this movie, I saw it when I was young, probably around when I was like 7 or 8. I didn't know that this movie was came out in the 90s. I thought this movie was actually made and came out in the 60s because I was a child and an idiot.
You know what? Honestly, I was surprised too. Maybe I didn't think 60s, but I did not think 90s. And again, I guess it's because when you're a kid, you don't realize that like movies don't have to be made about the time period in which they're released. So to me, I was like, wow, this is such an old movie. My parents must have watched it when they were kids, but no, not the case.
No, when you get older, you realize that Small's parents are Dennis Leary and Karen Allen, who are literally Karen Allen's from all the Indiana Jones movies and plenty of other things. Screws and Dennis Leary's Dennis Leary. I mean, rescue me, come on! It's just funny to see him play. He doesn't really even get to do like his thing, like the fast talk, and he's kind of just a nice stepdad in this.
Yeah, he's just, let's learn how to play ball, let's play catch, kind of regular old guy. He hasn't come into his own yet, if you will. But I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt because this movie, to be fair, 99% of it is about the kids anyway.
Yeah, it's not about the parents. Like this could easily be like your classic 80s horror film in the sense that like do these kids have parents? Like they're always out all day and like all this shit's going on. Where's their parents?
Yeah, no, but I think it's great. I will say I don't think this is one of those, even upon rewatch, this is one that, to be fair, I have watched a lot.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned, Casper, you haven't seen in 20 years. Before watching this for this video, I probably hadn't seen it in 6 months. I mean, it's just I like to watch it, even though it is, a kid's movie. I still do watch it a lot, and you're right, though, it is one of those funny ones where it's like it takes place when these kids just go out and do all this stuff, and they just always happen to have money for snacks, and they always have, like, a change of clothes, and they always and it's all day long, like, I mean, the sun rises, boom, they're at the baseball field, and they don't get home till it's dark, and not once does a parent come to the field to make sure they're okay.
No, doesn't check on any of their kids, and there's 9 of them there. Not one parent's ever asked about the dog over the fence, nothing. It's just like it's like they have a job almost, like, they go to work and then they come home at night, and it's like, "Well, this is what we do." And the parents don't really necessarily care. They in this movie, just want him to go make a friend small. So, like, "Come on, a new town, go make some friends." And that's what you do. You just leave the house and go.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think that's part of it too that might be really cool and, like, that nostalgic vibe. Because even us, we grew up mid to later 90s, early 2000s, and we kinda still, I feel like I remember, telling my parents, "Hey, I'm gonna ride my bike to my buddy's house down the block," and, like, even, when we would sleep over at your house, the big farmhouse, remember? It was just you woke up, we went out, we were riding go-karts, we were just doing whatever the hell we wanted, we weren't, like, you know, 12 blocks away on a random baseball field, but we were just off doing our own thing, having fun adventuring. And I think there's a little nostalgia in that because I feel like you don't see that anymore. Kids don't just go out and like, let's ride our bikes around town kind of thing.
No, I mean, and we did that, like, we played hockey in the streets. We even went to you live near a baseball field. We would go to the baseball field and play baseball. So, like, we did kinda sandlotish things. I think we were the last generation of that where parents, like, trusted the adult world. Like, now there's just too many monsters that you can't have that happening. If you sent 9 kids to the field now, 2 of them might get kidnapped.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I remember that same baseball field. It was right around the block, and me and my friends would go at night. Like, it
Mhm.
would be
You could
dark
turn the
out.
lights on, it was easy.
Yeah, the door was broken, like, some kid who was, like, a stoner broke in there to smoke it out one time, and they never fixed it, so we would go at night, pull that gigantic industrial electric lever down, turn the lights on, but it was different then, like, 'cause I remember even cops pulled into the parking lot one time and walked up to us and like, "What are you guys doing?" And we were like, "Just playing baseball," and he literally was just like, "Alright, just be careful, and when you leave, just make sure you turn the lights off, like, the town doesn't want them on all night," and we were like, "Cool, thank you." Like, it was very much still that vibe, but like you said, I think we were that last generation that you could just, like, walk around town and you didn't worry about it, you had you and 6 or 7 of your friends, and you were like, "Hey, let's go," and you didn't even have a full team, full game. It was like 1 guy batting at the plate, 1 guy pitching, 3 guys in the field, and you just had a good time.
Exactly, just wanted to go there and play, and that's what these kids did in this movie. Like, literally, they just have a long running game. They don't keep score, nothing. They just play each other. That's what it's all about. One guy goes to bat, everyone else is in the field, and that's it. It's about childhood, this movie in general. Yeah, it's about baseball, and it's very much a summer film because it kind of, even if you're not into baseball, it's just a summer film. Like, you're off of school, you have every single day, you don't have a job yet. Once that happens, and they make sure to show that at the very end of this movie, like, this was that magical summer. And as each summer goes on, people leave, start their lives. And, it hits home more now, the ending, than it did when I was a kid. Like, you always thought that, like, life would be better, but you don't realize as a kid, like, that's the best time of your life. And this movie makes you, and it kind of is like sad now. You're like, yeah, that does suck. Like, all your friends go away, start families, and you don't get to see each other like you used to. You saw each other every day, and now it's like, you're kind of almost strangers.
Yeah, no, and I think that's part of the reason why it carries over into adulthood so well because it's not just a child's story. You actually go in and like it is an adult story. And it's one of those like I think of the quote at the end of The Office from Andy, who's like, I wish there was a time to know that you're like in the good old days before they're the good old days, because like that's what this is. It's reliving and thinking about, and we could think about it as kids too. Like me and you hung out and wrestled every single day on the
Hmm.
trampoline for like 3 or 4 years. And it was
Yep.
every day.
And it was
And
great. Mhm.
it was unbelievable, same like we talk about baseball, like summer came, you didn't have work, you didn't have bills, you didn't have anything. You went to your parents, hey, can I have $10? We're gonna get a Slurpee and a hot dog at 7-Eleven and then play baseball. Sure, here you go, have a good time. That all you cared about was having fun.
What the fuck is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to
And
us?
that's what this movie's about. These kids just going out, spending the summer, doing what they want to do, going to the local pool, having, the one Squints pretending
Uh,
to drown because he loves a lifeguard. I mean, all that stuff is just it's so like it's just about like the freedom of being a kid and how much fun you really had and didn't realize you were having.
No, exactly. You don't appreciate it until after, and that's kind of like the point. Like he's like literally reflecting on the story of his childhood and everything. Like he's an adult at the beginning. He's the narrator, just talking about how he came into this town and like just developed this friendship with them. I mean, and he's such a square when he gets there, and it kills me with that big baseball hat that he wears.
Dude, what is I always remember that. What is the bill? It's like a foot out from his hat. It's like I didn't think they made hats like that.
I know, and like he should have burned it. Like I'm glad that Benny was like, "Listen, here's a hat. Like, come on, burn that hat. Like, there's no reason for that. You look ridiculous."
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, there's other stuff that's memorable like that. Obviously, some of the more memorable stuff is "You're killing me, Smalls."
Mhm.
Everybody knows that line, but one of the the ones too with the baseball, he's like, "I don't know, it's signed by some woman, Baby Ruth," and they're like, "Babe Ruth!" Like
Is this where you
classic
learned
scene.
about Babe Ruth? Was in this movie? Because this is where I know I learned about Babe Ruth.
Yeah, no clue who he was. I would have thought the same thing. I don't know, some girl, Baby Ruth signed it.
Yeah. Like the Great Bambino, like, oh, I learned all those nicknames from this movie. I didn't know really too much about. Obviously, I've learned since, but the fact that Babe Ruth, this iconic baseball player, now you're teaching it to a younger generation of kids. Like Babe Ruth's been dead since the '50s, and like here we are learning about him, as we're growing up, because it's very much a coming of age story. It's just it's also very much when you watch it now, it is a '90s film, like with that '90s score and how everything kind of plays out. Like these sweet movies that we just don't get anymore. The '90s were filled with these.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too. Like we just again, it's one of those, and I hate to say it because I feel like we sound like such, like grumpy old men, but like we were that like last generation, I think, that had like a unique set of movies, because like now we talk about it all the time. Everything has turned into just superheroes remakes, the whole nine yards, where that nothing like this was just an original, just like all the other stuff like Air Bud and Most Valuable Primate and all those kind of like the Mighty Ducks, all those 90s films that were just like family oriented. Like you were a kid, you could watch it, but you took it seriously. Like I don't know about you, but the first time I saw this, I was like, oh my God, that dog in the yard is gonna kill these kids.
I know, and as a dog lover now, you realize like they just misunderstood the dog. They made this guy, and like the story he tells, like I always do the forever, like and the zoom in on his mouth saying it with the mustache, but it's over, dubbed over his voice. It's great, like how this dog was literally a monster, and that's why they're so scared of it. And then when they realize, oh, it's just James Earl Jones blind with his dog, and it's nothing more than that, but kids over exaggerate things and make things seem bigger than they actually are, and it's like it's just a guy and his dog. It's nothing more than that. But you guys just made up this tall tale.
Yeah, yeah. But as a kid, you watch and you're like, oh no, this is like how are they gonna get that ball? But and I mean, you can kind of relate. I remember like playing in the backyard at my parents, and if we hit the ball over the fence, it was like, oh, damn it. Like, do we knock? Do we just hop the fence? What if the dog is out?
Well, ironically, now I have neighbors to my left, and I have two dogs, and they must play ball or something. Like I've had soccer balls and footballs and baseballs come over my fence. Unfortunately, if my dog Leia gets to them, those balls are no more. So I've had it like where I'm like, I'm sorry, and they're like, yeah, we understand, like obviously. Or I've had it where it's like the ball's fine, I'll give it back to. Usually, I'll just bring it to them. It's not like in this movie where someone's got to hop my fence or anything, because the dog will get upset.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the risk you're taking, and I get that's what they're building on. But again, like even with the nostalgia vibes of like we got to get the ball back, so they all get together to have a sleepover and spend the night trying to figure out how they're gonna, like
The
let's get
s'mores,
all.
man.
Yeah, dude, that's a funny one too. How can I have s'more if I haven't had anything already?
Yeah, I love s'mores. The way I always wanted the s'mores from this movie. Although this movie, despite having one of the best food scenes, has one of the grossest scenes ever with the chewing tobacco.
Oh God, yeah, dude, disgust. Well, is it the grossest you've ever seen though? Because remember what
No,
happened in WWE.
yeah, WWE just. Oh my god, it's disgusting. There's a lot of. I get really grossed out with vomit. I don't know, like for some reason, that's the one thing that like it's like the safe way to go. That's why they could put it in a kids movie, but that's
Yeah.
always grossed me out.
Yeah, no, I'm always grossed out by it too. Like even in like Family Guy, they do vomit stuff, and I'm always like, it's kind of funny, but also like even though it's animated barf, it's still barf.
I'm a piece of shit. Like my wife, like if she gets sick or something like that and she's throwing up, guys are nice. They go in there and hold her hair. I'm like, I'm not going in that room and I'm not going anywhere near you for a little while. I'm like, I love you. I'm sorry, but if you're throwing up, then I'm gonna throw up and it's a whole thing and I'm just gonna stay away. I'm like, I love
Yeah,
you. I'll pet your head and I'm gonna walk away.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I get it, dude. That's like throw up is gross. I can't. So I agree. That's a horrible scene. And chewing tobacco too in general kind of grosses me out. Just like I don't know. There's a lot about it that's just nasty.
It makes sense though because they're baseball fans and like chewing tobacco is probably like the coolest thing to them. See all these like baseball players chewing, like, oh, we want to do it too. But it's just they didn't know like you don't swallow it. Maybe you don't go
Yeah.
on a ride and do this. But of course, that's why it's also a great Fourth of July movie. Fourth of July just seems like that's the one day of the year they have the night game. I love that scene. It so makes it feel special.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that night game scene is probably the most like summertime nostalgic, be with your friends kind of, the fireworks and just it's like genuinely that feeling of just being free. Like it's just you're a kid. Again, we talk about it. It's summer. You don't have school. You don't have to worry about being anywhere but here with your friends having a good time. And I think that part is so relatable. But then again, like you said too, the ending where it's like he just kind of talks like, oh, this guy went on to do this. This guy went on and got married and had kids. This guy went on and started doing this. This guy would, and explaining how basically none of them hang out anymore is also unfortunately so relatable. Where it's like I could name half a dozen or a dozen kids that I hung out with as a kid that I don't even know where they live anymore. I know nothing about them. But when
No.
we were kids, we hung out every single day.
Yeah, it's because basically how he lays it out, life gets in the way. Luckily for him, like, he becomes a baseball announcer and his buddy's playing for the Dodgers. What a great coincidence how everything worked out for them. But, for the most part, like what really happens, happens. Like, your friends move away, they get married, they have kids. Luckily for Squints and Wendy Peppercorn, which, Wendy Peppercorn's a little bit ruined for me thanks to the Scream movies. What's her name? Officer
No,
Judy.
listen, just remember her as Wendy. We don't need to talk about her now.
Her and her fucking lemon bars.
Oh god, yeah. I try to just have the nostalgic view of her, not the current day view of her, because she is everything in this movie too. And then what they say something I never remember, but like they get married and have kids and all that, right?
Yeah, like I think he owns a pharmacy or something. And, like they have like 7 kids or something crazy. So, I mean, and when you think about it, like as a kid, you'd like think, oh my god, like that's like almost an adult, and he's like a kid. He's probably like 13, and she's probably like 16. It's just that like that small age gap. So it's not like like you think why would they get married? They were so much different in age. It's probably like, well, I mean, she's on a high school job, and he's like at the end of middle school, so it's like not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny because when you're a kid, you do look at it and you're like, wow, she's so much old. Like when you're around that, you're like 10 watching this movie, you're like, wow, he's like 10 and she's like 30. Oh my God. But now as an adult, you look back and you're like, like my wife is 3 years older than me. So it easily is pretty much the same thing.
Exactly. My wife's 5 years older than me, but, like, it's just, like, you notice, like, the people, like, they looked older than you, like, with kids when you're a kid, like, kids look older than you, they look so much older, like, just to bring back to Casper, like, when I was watching Casper and seeing Christina Ricci's character, she's 12 years old. When I was a kid watching that movie, I thought she was so old. I look at her, I'm like, "That's a fucking child." Like, and it's just because now I'm the same age as Bill Pullman, or in this movie, like, we're the same age as, like, Karen Allen and Dennis Leary, like, if you look up their ages, it'll make you sick.
Yeah, yeah, and, like, when you're watching and it's funny too because when you're a kid watching it, I even feel like you feel like the kids are older than you, like, the first time I saw this, I remember thinking that, like, Smalls and all them were older than me, but, like, they probably weren't. They probably were only supposed to be 12 or 13, but I was like, "Oh, no, obviously, they're running around like this, they gotta be older kids." But no, they're literally children.
Yeah, they're just children. It's just that's the one thing about getting older is like reliving these kinds of things now, looking at it through an adult. That's always the old saying. The movie change, I mean, you change, but the movie doesn't. The movie's always been the same. It's just now we look at it through different lenses. But that's kind of like what this show is about, is looking at movies like as we've gotten older, do they still hold up? And I think, we said it when we first did this. This is kind of like a proof of product for this show. We want to do like a kind of easy one where it's like, yeah, we kind of already knew that this is great. It doesn't matter if you were 8 or not. I think most people will agree with us.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I think this is great too. I really think that it's great for two reasons. I mean, when you're a kid and you watched it, you related to the child part of the story. You probably didn't even think anything of the adult story. You just related to the summertime. But now, as an adult going back, I feel like you relate to both. It's almost
Hmm.
like the movie, like we matured, and it feels like the movie matured. Like you said, it didn't change at all, but it's like Now we're the adult looking back saying, man, we used to do that too. It was great. And realizing that, like, yeah, this thing, like, we watched it when we were, 8 years old or whatever age. And we didn't realize that it was telling us, like, hey, enjoy being a kid. Because you're a kid, you don't realize that. But that's what it was doing. It was telling you, enjoy being a kid because one day you'll be an adult. You'll be friends with maybe one of these people and never talk to anyone else that you know again.
Yep, you don't realize that there's responsibility. I mean, listen, people warned me. My dad definitely told me, like, enjoy your childhood. You're not gonna like it when you get older. Not, you're thinking of all the positives, like, oh, I don't got a bedtime, like I get to go to work, like all that stuff's like exciting. Like you get all this freedom. It's like you don't realize that you can do all those things, but you're only gonna hurt yourself now.
Yeah, like there's no bedtime. Guess what? I go to bed now earlier than I ever did when I was a kid.
Me too. I'm like, I'm getting that time in because if not, then I'm gonna be miserable tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like, when you're a kid, your parents are like, all right, in bed by 9, 10, whatever, 11 o'clock. And you're like, I want to stay up till 2 a.m. Now as an adult, I'm like, dude, 8:30. I got it. I got to get my 8 hours in. I got to be in bed.
Like your friend calls you up. You want to go out for a drink? It's like it's 9 o'clock, buddy. I'm getting ready to go to sleep.
Yeah, like I got work in the morning. I do not want to go out for a drink.
No, I have a terrible day planned for myself tomorrow. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. But I do. I think that this is, again, like you said, it's a layup. We talked about it. I did joke and say maybe I'd take a stance and say that it's terrible, but I just can't. It's just, once you talk about it and you watch it, it really is. First one, like you said, it's just to show you what it's about, and this one, 100%, it lands in the great category.
Yeah, definitely. And like, these characters live on. The great Hambino. He was just at a game with the Savannah Bananas. So like people still know who that guy is. I mean, and he looks exactly the same. It's crazy. Like that guy literally just grew up to be a bigger version of what he looked like as a kid.
Yeah, he literally just like grew 2 feet taller. Everything else is the same.
It's unbelievable. Like there's no mistaking who that guy is. And unfortunately, because of the legacy of this movie, that's all he'll ever be, which is fine. I mean, hey, listen, if you could be one character in history that lives on, why not? Like Babe Ruth, he's no Babe Ruth, but he's still a legacy to some people.
Yeah, listen, you know what? He's still got that character, and it's still working for him. So good for him.
Yeah, I completely agree. So this is our first episode. Was it great or were you 8? So this is the first one. We want to hear from you guys. What did you think of it? Me and Dennis will probably put out a poll or we'll come up with the next one. We're not going to say it here because we're not 100% sure what we're going to do next, but we want to hope you guys liked it. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Share the video. Tell the friends about us. The whole spiel, right, Dennis?
Yes, sir. And thank you as always for being here. We look forward to your feedback on it.
All right. We appreciate it, guys. We'll be seeing you around.